Should have given me a thumbs up. We're live. We're live. Yes, we are. Welcome to Rescue Connection. Chris Fader coming to you from MedTech Services. And this is the 1-year anniversary, and we have a great program for everybody tonight. Joining us from across the country are our first guest, our last guest of the year, and our folks from Petzl. So let's get right into it and welcome Brian Hughes from Petzl, Keith Luscinski from Petzl. We're just going to kind of bounce around. Jason Butterfield from Working the Rescue, and Micah Rush from Peak Rescue. Guys, welcome to Philly.
Thanks for having us.
It's good to be home.
It is good to be home, yes. For those that don't know, Keith is actually from this area. So let's do this. Let's take a little moment to introduce our guests. Micah, why don't we start with you, and then we'll go down the line.
Yeah, Micah Rush, Peak Rescue. Not back in Wyoming. I'm on the road again for this one. So, yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me back, Chris.
Thank you. For those that don't know, Micah was on last month. He was our last guest. We talked about standby rescue and some other stuff. The video is still available on our Facebook. You can go back and watch that again. And we'll talk to him in a moment. Mr. Hughes, Brian, welcome.
Hey, I'm Brian Hughes, based out of Columbia, Maryland, Sprat Level 3. Also a rep for Petzl, Mid-Atlantic Territory rep. But I spend a lot of time on rope. I work on rope for a living outside of Petzl. I was on rope today. Happy to help answer any questions anybody has and talk about some fun Petzl gear.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. And moving on to Keith Luscinski from Petzl. Keith, welcome back home from Philly.
Thanks, Chris. I'm excited to be here. Doylestown is where I was born and raised. At the rock gym, I spent most of my days growing up. And I'm a rock climber by youth and rope access technician by trade. I did that for 11 years before moving to Petzl back in 2017. And yeah, native of Pennsylvania.
So do we call you the Fresh Prince, or do we call you the Fresh Petzl?
Fresh PTI manager.
Fresh PTI manager. I thought that was funny.
And secret egg in there for your Philadelphia fans.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
And last but certainly not least, Jason Butterfield from Working the Rescue from the left part of Pennsylvania. Jason, welcome to Philly.
Yeah, welcome from the correct part of Pennsylvania. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jason Butterfield. I'm the owner of Working the Rescue. My primary focus is in the rescue rope world, but I also do cross over and am a Sprat Level 1 currently, and just love being on rope. Normally when I go and start teaching a class, my introduction is, hello, my name's Jason. I have a rescue problem. So good to be back on the 1-year anniversary, back to where we got this thing rolling from. It's great to see the progress it's made and where it's gone to, and looking forward to where this ride continues to go.
Yes, and so are we. And this was an exciting opportunity for us because we didn't think that the Rescue Connection was going to make it this long. Quite honestly, this was just something for us to do with the height of COVID and everybody shutting down. And we at MedTechs wanted to find some way to be able to connect to rescue folks and engage. And we've had some great sessions. We're going to have some great ones coming up. And this is our 1-year anniversary. Do us a favor, since we're using a new platform, we're streaming to Rescue U's Facebook, we're streaming to MedTech's Facebook, and we're streaming to YouTube. So give us a thumbs up, say hi, let us know if you want a cheesesteak or something, so we know you're engaged, and that'll be great. Before we get started, I don't have to. I want to take a moment to acknowledge my girlfriend, Anna. Today is her birthday, and with that, Happy birthday. So I wanted to take a moment to say happy birthday to my lovely girlfriend, Anna. She is a beautiful person. This is the 3rd Rescue Connection that I've been doing on a special day. 2 of them, I was out of state, was her birthday. So I'm sorry, our anniversary. I'm digging that hole deep. So happy birthday, babe. All right. Moving on. So what's going to happen today is, oh yeah, folks, send happy birthday wishes to Anna because she puts up with my rescue stuff and climbing things all day long. So she's really the strength behind this stuff and the motivation. So moving on, one good thing about this, we put out there everybody on Facebook and Land, you commented, we're going to pick some winners. We got a whole bunch of stuff to give out. We're actually picking 12 prizes, and our first prize goes to Doug Wheatland from Canada. He's going to be the winner of the swag pack, which is going to include a whole bunch of cool stuff from Petzl, Rescue U, Working the Rescue, and Peak Rescue. T-shirts, some Petzl gear, stickers, all sorts of cool stuff. About every 5 or 6 minutes, you're going to see a on the bottom left-hand corner, a winner. And for those that are wondering how we did this, there's an online app generator that we subscribe to. Every time you comment, it automatically enters you into the giveaway. And then right before 7 o'clock, Ed, who's running the board right now with John, kudos to them for staying here after a long day of doing rope access training. They randomly pick people. So there's our first winner. Doug, congratulations. All right, so let's get to some of the stuff, why everybody came here. Let's talk all things Petzl. Why don't we start with you, Keith? I think the big thing is April 19th, you guys released a video on Rescue Solutions. And for those who don't know, Medtex was a part of that video, and Medtex is incredibly grateful for the opportunity that Petzl gave us that we filmed here. Keith, I want to talk a little bit about the new products that you guys have come out with from the training perspective, and what are you guys doing at Petzl Technical Institute? Let me just keep talking while they hit their phone. From the Petzl Technical Institute, from the training standpoint, what are you noticing with some of this new gear and how it's being rolled out into training?
Yes, I think no surprise that COVID interrupted everything last year. I'm happy to say, though, that we are pretty much back to full capacity at our training facility. We've had live events going on in our facility for a while now, and you know that you were out here recently, Micah as well. But a lot of our big picture planning changed a year ago, and we really shifted to doing a lot of online technical education as much as we could. So for folks that go to the Petzl Professional YouTube channel, you'll find a bunch of new videos with my face and some other folks from Petzl Salt Lake City on there, where you can see some of the videos that we've come up with and developed over the last year. And then the event that you're talking about, Chris, is an awesome series that our marketing team dreamed up recently. So live events where folks can tune in just like this and watch us with some pre-recorded videos to talk about some technical things, but also have Petzl staff on hand to answer questions, which I think is pretty awesome. It's not very common that folks can get onto a live event and interact with Petzl staff directly. So the first one that we had was the one with you. Was that 3 weeks ago? I'm losing track.
Yes, 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Actually, yes.
Yeah. So for the spin pulley line, and next Tuesday we're doing another live product launch event for the Eject Arborist anchor. Really awesome canopy releasable pulley anchor that if you're in the arborist world is a pretty spectacular product. And then next month we are doing an ASAP virtual event to try to get the ASAP out there for the general fall protection community.
Okay. And how can people get this? They just go to petzlsolutions.com. Is that the Rescue Solutions? What's the website they can go to follow these videos and participate?
So if we go to, I believe, just straight to petzl.com. So petzlsolutions.com is our PTI landing page for all the courses and events we have going on here. But this is a Petzl global event, so right on petzl.com.
Okay, awesome. So with the new products brings fire departments, emergency aid service organizations, industrial facilities that want to see the stuff. Jason from Working the Rescue gets called from time to time, actually quite frequently, to go to departments and, departments say, hey, I heard there's a Maestro, I want to see it. And he has to show up with one of these and do a demonstration. Jason, from your perspective with Petzl products, particularly the new stuff, what are some of the things that fire departments are interested in? Is the new technology interesting them, or, or they just want to see how the stuff can help them do more with less?
Yeah, so doing more with less is really the big key wording there. You know, with everything comes a cost. When you go to new technology and the newest engineering devices that are out there, they obviously come with a price tag behind them. However, when you look at the safety and the innovation that's incorporated into those products, coupled with the ease of use, it really becomes a no-brainer for a lot of these guys once they actually get to see it, touch it, use it a little bit, run the system a couple of times. It really just kind of solidifies the fact of how simple that product absolutely is and how safe it absolutely is in comparison with the traditional ways that we used to do rigging.
Yes. And I'm going to look for a picture that I'm going to share the world. I think you guys will find this funny. I have to share this while I'm stalling for it because we're talking about the Maestro. I think this is incredibly important to show that we had a student in the class say to me, "Can I ascend with the Maestro?" And I said, "Well, you can. I don't know why you would want to." He's like, "Well, I want to try it." So guess what? He tried to ascend with the Maestro.
So I've tried it. You can do it. Just the downfall is it's not exactly the most easy device to descend back down. It can be done, but
it's
not
challenging.
ideal.
It was pretty funny, and he did it. I wouldn't suggest going out and buying that for ascending on your personal harness, but he can do it. Brian, let's go to you real quick. As a Spratt Level 3 and as the sales rep for the Mid-Atlantic region, particularly our region, from someone who uses this stuff out in the real world, and then someone who obviously sells it. And by the way, Blake Wingate from Greenville, North Carolina, congratulations on the Rescue Swag Pack coming to you. Brian, from your perspective, what are you seeing folks when they call you as a distributor on things that they want to see, the new stuff and the feedback in the field? Because I think you have a very unique balance as representing Petzl, but also an end user, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Particularly in my territory, I was very lucky to kind of ride on the coattails of what Keith was alluding to with COVID. I think just folks that do rope stuff for a living, I think we were all kind of in some way essential personnel. I know arborists, they had more work than they could shake a stick at. Myself included, not just with Petzl as a rep, but also doing rope access for a living. I was very busy for the last year. Some of the new products that we're going to talk about today, a lot of those were used front and center. Been doing a lot of Maestro demos for fire departments and rescue groups and that sort of thing. So I guess I would just repeat what Jason was talking about, just getting out in front of fire departments and showing what the Maestro is capable of.
Okay. And we have a question from Anthony Baker. Wants to know what's the best way to contact the sales rep. Anthony, I don't know where you're from. I guess we'll bring up that real quick question. Brian, you want to answer that for him?
Yeah, you're welcome to contact me. I'm not sure if I necessarily want to give my cell phone number out, but you can always reach me at my email address. Actually, if one of the guys, maybe Ed, you could put that in the text there in the chat, but it's B as in my first name, Brian. My last name is Hughes, Hughes, 02@gmail.com. So bhughes02@gmail. And I'm the Mid-Atlantic sales rep. So thank you. Yep. So basically from Virginia up to Delaware.
You sure want to give your phone number out?
Pardon?
You sure want to give your phone number out in case they want to text you?
Yeah, we can. It's 443-883-6468. I'm just expecting text messages at 2:00 in the morning.
Uber. I was just kidding, by the way. I wouldn't have given my cell phone number out.
Well, it's out there. So, yeah, feel free to give me a chat.
So let's go over to Micah real quick. Micah from Peak Rescue is a unique scenario because he comes from an area where, here at MedTech, it's always more with less, but literally, like you guys are the definition of more with less because it's just you. You want to talk a little bit about how you're incorporating these Petzl products into what you do in the fire department at Peak and on the mountains you climb?
Yeah, so we are pretty unique in far as we don't have anybody in our area that's responding to us. So we do have rope access technicians out on doing work. We're dealing with smaller departments, SAR teams, all of it. And so all the new gear has been great to incorporate. One of the big ones is strop. The wire strop has been huge for my industry teams. It's big for us at our new training facility. We use them all the time. But I'm seeing those being a lot right away. We've been seeing those used in the rope access world, which is pretty cool to see. The spin pulleys, those are adapted right away. Backcountry and industry have both adopted those pretty fast. So we have SAR teams and fire departments in our area that already are using those. So it's been pretty cool to see all those things adapt. I think you're sort of, if you have a pulley without the swivel now, it's sort of like, what are we doing? The other thing I want to point out is these showcase this stuff. People get on the internet and they buy whatever somebody tells them to buy. And I think it's important for people that are looking at these, go out and use the devices and see what fits your team. We sort of get pushed in different areas, and it's been nice to show up this stuff and actually demo it to people, which I'm sure a lot of these guys have done, and actually get it in hands, get it in their hands, and actually let them use it so they can make a choice. Because that's what I wanted when I came on. When I was first coming up to rescues, give me the equipment, let me use it, and I can make my own decisions. But it's pretty easy once you use most of the equipment. It says itself.
So that wire sling you're talking about, what's that called again? Oh, hold on. I'm just sorry. Kristen Sulden from Germany. Congratulations. You're the winner of the swag pack, our first international winner. Congratulations. I sure hope we can ship there right now. We'll get it to you, buddy. Trust me. We will. If I have to fly it out there myself.
Michael, thanks.
Micah, I was having a hard time hearing you a minute ago. You might have to talk a little louder and closer to your computer.
Is that me?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yep. Sorry. Yes. Strop.
Strop. So Brian, let's bring up Brian who has one. And by the way, shout out to Sam, who is an employee of Petzl. I called her Stroop or Strop, whatever. I didn't call it what it was called, so I had to be corrected, and she corrected me. Brian, the strop that Mike is talking about, you want to?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Comes in a bunch of different sizes. So I just have a carabiner on the end here, but there's an eye termination, very supple. You can tie knots in it. Really easy to manipulate, galvanized steel. It's comes in 50 centimeter, 100, 150, 200, and 300 centimeters, ranging in price from $35 to $60. But yeah, pretty much standard piece of kit in my world as well, doing rope access, bridge inspections, et cetera, et cetera. I actually got to use this on a ship the other day in the Inner Harbor.
And you want to quickly show how supple and pliable that wire cable really is?
Yeah, I mean, I'm tying a knot in it. I can cinch it down quite a bit. I mean, I can cinch it down more than that, but
it's almost like a tough piece of rope. It's very, very supple for wire, very friendly, and just a great piece of equipment, I think. And it's really interesting how they were able to design and engineer that as like just literally like it's rope.
Yeah, agreed. It's nice and lightweight.
And some of the other products, obviously I have a spin pulley here. And you want to quickly talk, Brian, about some of the other new products that have come out this year that they can find on the website?
So we got the Spin L1. Did you talk about these already, Chris? So we got the L1.
I did not.
We got a double pulley, and Jason's actually got my my 1D. But anyway, so very easy pulley to manipulate. It's got a swivel on the top here, but you pull down on this tab, and there's a little red button here. You push up on that, opens the face up, so you can lay rope in there. It's fantastic if it's hanging from, say, like a tripod or something like that. It's a one-handed operation, so you can move your thumb and open this face up, lay your rope in, close it up. Fantastic piece of kit. The L1 is $95, and then we go up to the L2. So same concept on both sides. It's just a double pulley. These are both 95% efficiency. Fantastic, relatively lightweight, not too big and bulky. Used both of these already this year on rope access jobs for hauling up equipment. Actually, Chris, I guess you were using those as well, weren't you?
Yes, we had a couple of projects where they, a major one, which we'll talk about in a couple rescue connections, which were invaluable. And especially, let's back up real quick. Matt McFadden has a question. Does the plastic coating break down quickly on the wire strap?
Yeah, I mean, I can't comment on it breaking down. I haven't had it break down yet. It's fantastic. It's been, we have a like brackish, like somewhat salty water in the Chesapeake Bay. So like I said, I've done a few maritime things with it. Haven't seen any problems. It's been submerged in water. Seems to be fine. It's galvanized steel. Keith, you got anything you want to add to that at all? It's a pretty robust piece of plastic that's covering the strap.
Yeah, it's a new enough product for me that I haven't seen long-term use, but it seems pretty burly to me.
Yeah.
I've had mine or a couple of those for over a year, and they haven't broke down at all. So I had some of the prototypes, and I used them quite a bit, and they've held up so far. So a year, I guess. Hopefully, we'll see.
And looking at this, they're reasonably priced. I mean, wire sling's a wire sling, right? But I think one of the advantages to this over other manufacturers out there is its pliability. It's supple, it is durable, it's lightweight, and it's affordable. It's cost effective. And you can, Brian, I think you said you can do it in a choker configuration, end to end, or basket, which is more than other slings are out there that can do so. Stan from PG County, Maryland, winner of the Swag Rescue Pack. Congratulations, JC Stan. And by the way, we will be contacting you folks after the session this weekend or tomorrow to get your T-shirt sizes and make sure we get you the right size shirt so you're not swimming in it, or so you're not wearing too small of a shirt unless you're trying to look buff at the beach. So it's okay.
Chris, I failed to mention these got the NFPA cert just on there in case folks asked about it.
I'm glad you brought that up, Brian, because that may be something I was going to bring up later on. So for those that don't know, one of the things I hear all the time in my world here in rescue is it's got to be NFPA. And the more you learn about this, the more you realize it doesn't necessarily have to, or it's all in the matter of what you're using it. But for departments out there that are looking for NFPA compliancy, that's a great asset. It's a great tool. It's very, very affordable and reasonably priced. And that could help you buy one product over the other one. Jason, let's go to you real quick. Regarding public safety training, because there is a difference between rope access training and what's acceptable and expected versus fire department public safety training, what's expected and what's what we're doing. Are you finding that a lot of these products are kind of making the way into both industries, and that the fire departments you're dealing with are finding benefit in some of these products which are traditionally used in rope access?
Yeah, absolutely. Being a rope access technician myself now, I've incorporated a lot of that philosophy and that mentality over onto the rescue side. Obviously for the safety factors and things like that. But with the equipment and the hardware as well, I mean, it makes it so much more versatile to, quickly deploy it, ease of access. So yeah, we're seeing a lot more of that equipment that was designed for one area starting to bleed over into another area. Conversely, we're starting to see some arborist techniques showing up in the rescue world as well, and some arbor specific equipment we've actually utilized for some rescue rigging and had tremendous success with it. I think it's pretty clear to say that when you take something from rope access or even arbor, where they're using that equipment day in and day out, versus the typical fire department or rescue service that maybe getting 2 or 3 low angle rescues per year. If we can take a piece of equipment that's much easier to operate, get it into their hands, it just makes it so much better, safer, and quicker. for the patient in the long run of things, because, as you know, Chris, rescue is patient care.
Jason, you can't leave us hanging. What's the equipment and what are the techniques that rescue folks are pulling from the arborist world?
One of the biggest tricks that I've started seeing some of the rescue guys doing is the elevated artificial high directional, slinging something up there and kind of popping it through to get that pulley up without having to put a ladder up or without having to, exercise a main off of a ladder truck to be able to get up there and get that elevated anchor into a different position, or elevated high directional into a different position. Some of the pick-off techniques that I learned in Spratt, I've started incorporating over into our rescue training as well. It just, so much easier to do, so much safer in the long run. Obviously the ID started over in the rope access world, widely popular in the rescue world now. So, just all those different tools and techniques that are making their way over. It's good to see some cross-pollination. That's for darn sure.
It is. And let me chime in. One of the things we learned, three of us went out to Petzl in March to take a peak rescue class for instructor development. And one of the techniques we learned that we showed folks this week, by the way, we're doing a Spratt rope access class this week. We partner with Peak Rescue. And I got to give a shout out. That board right there, those stick figures and examples of rope access skills was written by Toph from Peak Rescue. But the credit goes to Keith from Petzl, because there you go, Keith. I believe that's your handiwork, correct?
Thanks. Yeah, I guess that's what I'll be forever known for, is creating the cartoons that explain all the rope access skills.
Listen, but your legacy is long live here in Philly.
Yeah. Well, actually, so one of the reasons why I started doing that for all the rope access courses that I've taught is that, especially for folks coming from other industries, they read the Spratt or IRADA manuals and they know the words associated with the maneuvers, but they can't really visualize what the maneuvers are or what the purpose of them is. So like back in the day when Spratt had a long re-belay and a short re-belay, people just knew what the words were, but they didn't know what the maneuver actually was, or more importantly, they didn't know what the real world implication or real world environments where they would use those were. So I always found it really nice to have a concise visualization of what all the maneuvers are.
Yes, and congratulations, Joe Ervin from Tennessee, on the winner of the Swag Rescue Pack, where I will be for 4 weeks coming up in June for military training. Joe, congratulations, buddy. Well, actually, what we're doing, Keith, is we're stealing your idea. We'll give you credit, of course. We are going to regurgitate that in a manner that we can give out in our Spratt books, because I need to see it. I'm a huge fan of using the whiteboard for training, and the stick figures. When I see that, and I understand in my world, it makes me better understand where that technique can be applied, which I feel makes me a better student and practitioner of that skill set. So, yeah, that's awesome. But you'll be known for more than just that, Keith. Trust me.
I hope so.
Micah, let's go to you real quick. How are you incorporating? Because you 1 minute you're in a city, not what I would call a city coming from Philly, but you're in an urban area, and then Ed's laughing over there.
You should be.
And then 20, 30 minutes later, you're like in backcountry. So how are you incorporating, or are you finding challenges incorporating what we do in the urban world with what's being done in the backcountry?
Not at all. We sort of get the team and we decide what their mission profile is, and that decides their gear. We don't go the other way. If these teams are lightweight and they're wanting to go that way, I kind of ask why. We ask some questions. I think that's a big rave right now. But in the end, is it their mission profile, or is it just a cool thing people are jumping on? I definitely have teams. We deal with some very, very remote teams that need backcountry, a lightweight backcountry kit that does everything. And we totally train them in that. There is slack country. So if they're less than a mile off the road, then the same sort of tools apply. Yeah, so I guess we work backwards that way. And then I go all the way up into industry, oil and gas to, the small team guys that are going in 15 miles to do a rescue. The equipment, it's all interchangeable, most of it. It's weird bouncing between what regulations they're trying to go off of. SAR teams, maybe those are the ones I see that are kind of playing in both worlds and not really using any standards. So it's a little bit of a juggle to try to push them in. Are we showing up as a professional team, or is it you and I going in as a, 2 or 3 man team to do this rescue? And I think there's a big difference in partner rescue. In the guiding world, if I'm taking you to Alaska, we're going to have a smaller, lightweight kit that we're going to do stuff with. But if I'm going with a professional team and I'm using a lightweight kit, we better know how to use it, be very trained in it, and know the limitations of it. And I think there's a lot of research coming out on that, which I'm fully for. But we work backwards. What's your mission profile? And then we go backwards from there and decide what's going to be the kits that's going to be best for you.
Okay. And what was that term you used between the urban and backcountry? Slatted? What was it?
Slack country.
Slack
country.
Slack country. Okay.
Yeah. It's
So
not really backcountry. They like to say they're backcountry, but it's slack country. So
okay.
A lot of departments will respond to backcountry incidents, but it's really not that far back in the backcountry. So we call that the slack country, and then there's full backcountry.
Okay, got it. Now that makes sense. I think. Congratulations to Shrek Hop for another one from Tennessee on the Rescue Swag Pack, and thanks for watching. Chad, Chad Strobel, I believe. Chad, I hope I didn't chop your name on that one. He brings up when we were talking about the strap from Petzl. He says, "Awesome, FEMA waivers are a pain, if not NFPA." Let me just comment on that. So, in a previous life before the fire medtechs, I was a rescue coordinator, local fire academy, and I was also a program manager for our county USAR team. And for our county, I was the one who was responsible for purchasing equipment using Homeland Security money. And what Chad is alluding to is that if there's what's called the AEL, Authorized Equipment List, it's a list of stuff that you can buy using the money. If it's not on there, if the stuff does not meet a standard that they say, you have to write a waiver to justify buying something that may not be NFPA. And that's what he's talking about. We do have some experience with that. So if there's folks out there that have this kind of problem or need some advice, shoot us an email, mtsrescue@med-tech services. You'll see my email come up. And we'd be happy to help you with some of the language to be able to buy this stuff. It is nice that it's NFPA, but it doesn't always need to be to do the job. Thanks, Chad. I hate chopping names up. Brian, as a level 3, obviously your role is Mid-Atlantic sales rep for a manufacturer, Petzl particularly. But as a level 3, you're also responsible for going out and doing a level 3 job using the best product possible. Would you say one of the biggest challenges as an active practitioner in rope access is getting your hands on the latest and greatest now that should have been out years ago? And that's always the problems I find, is because like a lot of times we come up with problems that was looking for a solution, or maybe we come up with a solution looking for a problem. But a lot of these techniques have probably made your life easier as a level 3, have they not? Yeah,
for sure. It's kind of a loaded question. I'd say, if Petzl doesn't have the solution, somebody inevitably does, or it's a technique solution. I feel like I'm actually kind of very rich in the sense that I get to work with a lot of very experienced and some actually more technically capable than I am, gifted people, rope folks. From a lot of varied backgrounds. A lot of what I do for Petzl as a rep, I would say, is more in the technical end of things rather than actually in the sales end of things. I'm lucky in that regard. So kind of to what Jason was referring to with the cross-pollination, I think there's a lot of neat ideas out there, and a lot of folks in our industry and just people who work with rope, they talk a lot and they share ideas, they share techniques. I think we're all to some degree driven about solving problems and being safe and being creative, thinking outside the box. Sometimes it's a gear solution. Sometimes it's finding the newest and the greatest, something that speeds up your work or allows you to take a person and minimize your team and have that person maybe go somewhere else and do something. Maestro would be an example of that, where it's not necessarily making things easier, but it's making it so that you can do more with less folks. That person could be dedicated somewhere else, helping with the rescue. I don't know if that answered the question you're asking.
It did, and I think kind of going to that and going to Keith real quick from Petzl. One of the things I find fascinating with this is Petzl comes out with the product, whatever the product is called, and then they find out from the field 2 or 3 years later, or maybe shorter, that, like the ASAP lock is being used as a static belay. It may not have been designed for that. And Petzl goes back to the drawing board, if I'm correct, Keith, and tests it and says, you know what, this can work. And then they come out with new information saying, guess what, folks, you can use it in this manner, or you can't use it in this manner, correct?
Yeah, so it's a really iterative process. When the design engineers come up with a new product, they have a general sense of the environment and the techniques that they want it used for. But rope nerds are so ingenuitive, and they have 1,000 different uses that we couldn't fathom when we came up with the product. And yeah, you make a great point about belaying with the ASAP, is that's a perfect example that the ASAP was adopted for belaying by some really forward-thinking individuals well before Petzl had the idea. And I believe it was presented at ITERS a couple times using it, the International Technical Rescue Symposium. And then eventually Petzl did their own research and validated it and said, yeah, it's a great tool. And I think the ASAP is potentially one of the most widely used Petzl products in terms of the industries that it's used for, from general fall protection to rope rescue to rope access. And I think as a belay for all kinds of situations, it's a spectacular tool. I think my favorite use of it is a backup belay during training operations. For just about any at-height training operation, the ASAP is an awesome backup device. It
is. And congratulations to Evan Peck from Orlando, Florida, sunny Florida, on the winner of the Rescue Swag Pack. Matt McFadden has a question. Does Petzl allow the Maestro to be used for rappelling on? Well, I have a picture I showed of somebody using it as a personal device. I'm assuming that's what you mean, Matt. What's Petzl's position on that, Keith?
That's a great question from Matt. There's nothing to prevent you. There's nothing safety-wise to keep you from rappelling on the Maestro. It's just not going to be ergonomic. So the handle only rotates 90 degrees, just like the ID evac. So you're going to end up pulling up on the handle rather than flipping the handle full 270 degrees and pulling down like the ID. So could you in certain applications? Yes. Is it ergonomic? Not really.
And there's an example of the Petzl being used if you were to use it in a rappelling configuration. It would be awkward. You could do it. It's also a big device, and you probably don't want to let this fall down or bump into you in the wrong part of your body, because it would be painful.
I will say the one application that I've seen for descending, using the Maestro as a personal descender, is we have a tech tip on it, actually. It's for quickly setting up a rope system to get a rescuer down to somebody really quickly, and then hauling them up on drop loop 2-to-1 through their Maestro. So if you browse around the Petzl website, you can find a tech tip on it, and it's a pretty neat, advanced way to use the Maestro. Okay.
And obviously, they can go to petzl.com to find all this information, or just Google tech tips, correct?
Yeah, I will. While somebody else is chatting in the next few minutes, I'll find the article online, and I'll bring the link back to drop in the chat box.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris, we used it. We messed with it when it first came out, using it again in the reeve system. A Norwegian reeve, that technician can lower themselves down, go hands-free, and it catches them when they get pulled up if something goes wrong and captures the progress. Jury's still out, but it's something to mess with.
Yeah, you bring up a good thing, because a good point, because there are a lot of uses for this stuff. And to your point, if somebody can lower themselves down in a configuration like that, but also be pulled up and you're mindful of the safety, what does that do for your team? It gives them less responsibility and allows them probably to focus on other stuff, but still have the backup in place, correct?
Yeah, there's always plus and minuses, I think, to it. There is a place for it. I just think for us, always trying new skills, trying to figure it out. And this was for somebody else that was trying to figure a way to get somebody out without having to capture the progress up top. It was a pretty good solution. So,
Absolutely. And Chance Ellis, who joined new to Rope Rescue. Welcome to Rope Rescue, Chance. With
What's
a
up,
name
Mike?
like that, I'd love to have a name like that. I'd have something cool like Taking a Chance at Rope Rescue or something cool like that. Welcome to Rope Rescue. Yeah, hi, Mike. How you doing? The tech tips, while Keith is looking for that,
I just pulled it up. I can send you the, I can tell you guys the name of the article, and I just sent it in the chat box to the IT team. Hopefully they can post it up. The article is called Drop Loop Haul on the Maestro for Urgent Rescue.
okay. If our I team doesn't, we will get it posted on Facebook with these follow-up information for folks to look at later on. Look, Jason, let's go to you real quick. As someone who has been a practitioner of public safety rescue training, and for the purpose of this conversation, we're going to define public safety rescue training as fire department rope rescue, whereas rope access is its own thing. Where do you think you would be if this technology, congratulations, Joe Ervin oh, nope, okay.
That was my screw up.
That was a screw up on my producer's end. I have a new producer here today, so Chris, I don't even want to try and chop your name up. Mollema from North Carolina, congratulations on the swag pack. Jason, as a public safety trainer for public safety training, how do you think this technology that's probably a lot of it's come out of rope access has helped firefighters and search and rescue teams that have traditionally been, major team based, bulky equipment, a lot of this, a lot of that? What's your take on how that's affected the fire department?
Well, I think it's affected the fire department in a very positive manner. One of the biggest things that I hear the most when we break out the new equipment and start showing that off is, wow, that's easy. Where's this been? And I always use the philosophy of 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, very seldom do we get those nice rescues at, 3 o'clock in the afternoon when it's 80 degrees out with like 50% humidity. It's always that worst possible timing. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, is this equipment simpler to use? Is it safer to use? And that's kind of the philosophy that I use when I'm introducing those products into either classes or doing demos at fire departments for it. And, hands down, it's always absolutely, again, where's this thing been our whole life? Why have we not been doing it this way? And, as you know, from being in the fire service for a long time, well, we've always done it this way has been a unfortunate answer that we get quite often. So having this new stuff out and in our hands and in our training cache and being able to use it, I mean, it really just backs itself with, the demonstration of it, and, people see it, and as they say, seeing's believing.
Yeah, it is. And the one thing I find fascinating about that is I think, we use the terminology or the statement in the fire service, 245 years of progress unimpeded by tradition. And we're slowly making changes. And Mike, as someone who works in the mountain world, the slacking world, as you appropriately called it, I guess, and the urban world, is there anything, the new technology coming out, because there's people out there that may not be drinking the punch and buying into some of this new technology, and it may be because of cost, it may be because of old skills, techniques that you just can't break them of using a brake rack or a figure eight in ears. From your perspective, the stuff that's coming out, do you see the future of rescue and rope access and the techniques and the tools being like a Swiss Army knife that can be used across the board instead of using something for rope access only and something for fire department use only.
Oh, 100%. We're having to be multitask now for as private response that we do or on the fire department or a SAR team. And as Jason alluded to, these are just safer devices. Everything's getting safer and easier. When we all got into rescue years ago, I always tell people you had to have the degree, right? You had to be a chemist to get into this, figure it out. It was so hard to do changeovers or pass knots, and now it's casual. It's really easy. So to me, it's only making it safer, easier, and faster for teams in a rescue. That's what I always tell people. We look and we can fight about devices and what's better and what's lighter. It's all about the patient who we're saving. We should never lose sight of that. What's going to make it safer and better for that team to respond and do the job. We get in muddy waters when we start talking about all the different stuff. It's all about our response and doing it faster and safer and protecting our own and doing the job. And to me, the new devices have solved that problem. Now we just have to train.
Absolutely. And, you know, we get non-believers out there who say, I'm still going to use a rack pulley mariner, or I'm still going to use a load releasing hitch. And that's fine. I mean, I would never criticize someone on, if that's what they know, that's what they know. My biggest thing, and I think everyone would agree with this, is, give this new technology a chance. Have someone from a distributor, the vendor, the sales rep come out and show you how this pulley can improve how you do business simply because it spins. And, is this an expensive piece of equipment? Well, it's more expensive than a traditional pulley. You would expect that. It's new technology. But you can do more with less. Think about what you can do with the new technology. And, that's always been my thing. Give it a chance. If you don't like it, okay. But I have yet to see new technology that hasn't, made me say that this can make my job easier. It can make it faster. It can make my pack lighter. I would like to Oh, look at that. How about that one, Keith? We have a Timothy Schea from Doylestown, PA, who is the winner of the Petzl Spin One Pulley.
Wow.
Folks, I swear to God, that was not strategic. That was random. Congratulations, Tim, on the first spin pulley. I guess we're getting into the hot stuff now. And that's Keith's alma mater. Well, how about that? Congratulations, Tim. Brian.
Chris, sorry.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
One other thing, I just want to say that too, that old school, and Chad's got it right when we got in there, you never knew what was going on. I do believe there's still that history where if you don't have it and you don't have the money, because we do hit teams that way, it is important that we show them the safer ways to do the old way. But if they can get there's that one device in there or the one pulley that helps their thing, I think that's super important. I'm not all for jumping on the new stuff because there is cost that is involved with this. And I get that. But in the end, if a team can only afford a certain amount, it's like, yeah, get a new device. Let's get rid of this because this one device does 5 things of all this other gear that you've been replacing. So just to point out, it is a cost for a lot of our teams, but it does replace. We just put mounds of it on the table and put something out, and this replaces all of that, whether it be a Maestro or whatever. So something to just for these guys, yeah. But Chad, exactly. When I was in there 20 years ago, it was the same thing. It was really hard, and you had to be a rope ninja. So
yeah, rope ninja. True. Tom is asking if we can put the Petzl link back up. Yes, Tom, we can do that. And while I'm stalling, while my producer puts the link back up, let's get back to new technology. So there's major cities that may not be able to afford to just go out and buy a $4,000 tripod or $100 pulleys. And one of the things I hear from time to time is how can a major city like Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, Fort Lauderdale, Houston not afford to do that? And one of the things, to your point, Micah, about the new technology is it's not so much the technology in the grand scheme of things. It's not so much about the cost. Like a major city, what's $400 in pulleys? The other thing I want people to think about, as my producer brings up me because I'm going to keep on talking, and I think everybody will agree with this, the biggest thing I want people to think about is the training. And we tend to overlook that sometimes. So I have a pulley right here. It's a spin pulley. how much training do I need? There we go. How much training do I need with this pulley? How much time do I have to spend with the student to teach them this? Let's apply that same logic to a device like this. So it's a myriad of things that come with the new technology. And, there's some old school stuff I do enjoy. Most of it's new technology. But, Keith being a level 3, we were at Petzl. And for those that don't know, they have a ski gondola set up in there with 2 gondolas hanging from it. And one of the questions I asked them was, who installed that? How'd you get installed? And they did it themselves because they used technique, they used rope access, they used new technology, and they had people that knew what they were doing. Keith, on that particular subject, I meant to ask you, how long did it take you to rig that gondola once you had the cable in to string it and get it set up?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to deflect for a second. On the training note, one thing that I did want to say that I'm really impressed by you and the MedTech guys, Chris, is your dedication to cross-training and professional development. I feel like it's a huge point of humility to go, even though you're a training company, to go pay another training company to learn stuff. That's an awesome thing that I've seen you guys, that I've seen you guys do over the last year with going out to the Tower Rodeo in Phoenix and then coming out to the Peak Rescue class. And I think it's an awesome sign of your dedication to continual learning. So props to you for that.
Thank you.
To answer the question, I would say it was 6 months of planning and a couple hours of rigging. Yeah, we really approached it from like a real rope access job perspective in that we spent a long time kind of tinkering over the design and coming up with the specific elements of it. And so for folks that don't know, it's a real cable in there. It's an 1.25 inch diameter steel cable with what are called spelter sockets on the end. So permanently installed terminations. And we put a deposit on a custom length cut of this. And we were really hoping it was going to show up to be the exact right length. And that's kind of how rope access works, is that you do tons of planning. And then one day you walk onto the site and you hope you brought all the equipment and all the tools that you need to get the job done in the day or the week, whatever it is that you're on site. So by the time the cable showed up at the Petzl Technical Institute, we already had the chairs there. We knew the torque specs for the cable grabs on the chairs. And we had all of our design laid out. And it was not even a half day of work to haul a few 100 pounds of cable up into place and proof load the whole system.
And for those who go, I'm sorry, congratulations to Jared McGuffrey, Lexington, Kentucky, on the winner of the Spin 2 pulley. Jared, congratulations, buddy. John is asking a question: how often do trainer companies and standby teams speak and interface with Petzl? Well, John, I can tell you on behalf of MedTechs, we speak and interface with them fairly frequently. And one of the things is, in my standby world, I need to get manufacturer support more often than none, because we're going to facilities that want to see data on the use of this pulley and that sort of thing. I would imagine, I can't speak for other companies, I'll let Micah and Jason speak on their behalf. But our interaction with Petzl manufacturers, I'm on the phone with Brian about once a week, and I have customers calling me, and that's one of the things, as a company, that we have that reach. Micah, Jason, what's your side of this?
Well, I don't bother Brian nearly as much as you do, but it is nice having that resource there, that when I do get a severely technical question that I can't readily find an answer to, all I have to do is pick up the phone or shoot Brian an email, and they absolutely find out that information for me so that I can pass that on to the end user. I mean, the support that Petzl gives us, not only from a training side, but from an end user standpoint, is phenomenal.
Micah?
Yeah, the same. They've been really good about answering questions, or when I'm misusing their product, reminding me. But it's been great. Yeah, for us in turnarounds or standbys and in training classes, we get asked every question. So not every question so far, but yeah, it's pretty. If I have a question, I can call Keith or Brian, our rep, Brian Breckwald. So it's great. And also, what I tell a lot of people, most of it's answered in the tech notice. So it's pretty easy for me. They have a really good website. You go to it. You can go to most of the tech notices now, and it gives you all the specifications, and playing within those limits they give you is super, super important to us, because Keith at some point just ignores my calls, and that's okay, because the tech notices are really good about showing you limitations, everything it's designed to use for. So it's been great.
Thank you. And with respect to the interface, the reality is you don't need to be a major company or a small company. Just pick up the phone and reach out to the manufacturer. You'd be surprised how quickly you can get response from them on a specific question. Later on this year, we're going to talk a little bit about a project we had on top of a nuclear cooling tower and lessons learned. And we were using these pulleys along with 5,200 feet of rope. And one of those days, we were sitting 60-mile-an-hour winds. These pulleys, along with the carabiners and the anchor plate, the large pawl we were using, got beat up pretty well with 500 pounds of rope hanging from it, 600 feet up. And they stood the test of time. We'll talk about that later on. But, we did touch base with the manufacturer. And why can't you pick up the phone and call them and learn a little bit more about the product, or just hear it from them if you're not sure?
Yeah, I would just chime in and say one of my favorite quotes is knowledge is light in the pack and easy to carry. And it's always been sort of a mantra of my own, where I'm excited and motivated to learn, and I like asking questions. And I especially enjoy when people ask me questions, because it gets me away from the computer and doing spreadsheets and stuff. So I think Petzl does a really outstanding job of information sharing. Our website, even before I became a Petzl rep, I thought was sort of the holy grail of knowledge. And I'd like to extend the offer. If anybody has any questions of a technical nature, I'd be more than happy to address them and try to keep some hairs on Keith's head.
Absolutely. Awesome. Frank Betts III from Allentown, PA. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing the Billy Joel song Allentown. I don't have the rights for that. But guess what, Frank? You talking about more with less. How many have ever done a 3-to-1 Z rig and you needed a haul cam, a prusik, a rescue sender, a carabiner, and a pulley? Well, guess what? Petzl, if you haven't gone to the website, said, why don't we incorporate this into a carabiner, the roll clip, and the rescue sender? And this is an example of doing more with less. It's lightweight. You have the rescue sender with the keeper on it and the roll clip. You can choose between the non-locking and the auto-locking. So, Frank, we will reach out to you and give you a choice between these two roll clips. We will marry them to the rescue sender. And this is on Petzl's website. There's a picture under I believe it's rope clamps or rope grabs. So if anybody's looking at this and says, you can't do that because, well, guess what? It's being done and it works great. And behind us, over here, tomorrow these guys will be doing the evaluation, and the evolution right here is going to be involving using this for the 3-to-1 Z rig to raise the load. So this is a great piece of asset, and I would call this close to being lightweight technology, because you're taking one of the things out of the equation that you don't need. Congratulations, Frank. Kevin is asking a question. Is the only difference between the progress adjust progression and the progress adjust positioning the protective sleeve? And is the ease hook a good choice for use on the rope adjuster side of the progress adjust? Keith or Brian, one of you guys want to answer that, or both of you?
So the difference between the progression and the positioning, I believe, is just the length of that lanyard. And then to say about the ease hook as being a good choice, I guess I would ask what it was being used for, because there's a lot of different connectors that you could use, and some might be better than others.
Kevin, I hope that answered your question. Keith, do you have anything you want to chime in on? Or Brian, did you give a good answer?
Sounds great to me. Yeah, as Kevin pointed out, or maybe Kevin didn't point it out, but there's a webbing sleeve that comes on the positioning version of it. And then also, if I remember right, I believe we also even have a tech tip on installing the rope adjuster onto the ease hook or MGO open. because it's a little bit tricky getting it in there.
Okay. Kevin, I hope that answered your question. If not, go ahead and chime in and we'll continue answering it. Keith, let me go back real quick. The comment you made about, us doing training, I put this out to everybody. We are a third party. We're for profit like other companies out there, but we're only as good as the knowledge we have. And going out there and learning from others and developing is incredibly important. So whether you're a company, you're an individual, you need to invest in your skill set. There's folks out there that are passionate about nozzles, hoses, ground ladders, engine and truck work. If you want to be great in rescue, if you want to be great in rope access, you need to invest into your own career at some point. Good training, great training. You got to be open to something new. And this is a conversation that, Jason and I have had, I think actually all of us, Brian, Keith, and Micah, you may learn something over here and then go take it over there and learn something new. Don't shut them out saying, well, I didn't learn it over here, because you went somewhere else to learn a different way. This is an example of a way to do the same thing you've probably known how to do using a 3-to-1 for years, but you're learning a new technique that has a system that can't come apart. Be open to that. Be open to new ideas. And if you're not sure, I think Micah and Jason will agree with this, and Keith. If you don't know, ask, challenge the instructor. A good instructor will tell you they're wrong. They'll tell you they don't know, but they'll find out where. But if they do know, they'll give you the right information. And, I'm extremely passionate about that. Micah, I know you are. I mean, we were doing some really fun stuff at Petzl that I had never seen before. And I was drinking the punch. Some of it may not have a place in my world, but I'm open to new ideas. And, you guys have a phenomenal facility out there in Salt Lake City, Keith. So thank you for the opportunity. I just want to get on that soapbox. The final, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we always love hosting high-end companies like you guys and Peak Rescue to come out.
Well, we will definitely be back. We've partnered up with Peak to with the rope access training we're doing. And, Peak's guys, their folks are awesome. Here's the reality. I think, Micah, you made the comment, let's just do rescue stuff. Let's learn how to do this stuff. I want to drink a couple Pepsis. Some may want to drink adult beverages. But, let's just do this stuff, learn from each other, pass on knowledge and information, and have fun. And that's probably the best statement I've ever heard about this, Micah, when you told that to me when I first met you. Let's just do rescue stuff and drink beer.
100%. I think we get caught up on maybe our own egos in the rescue world. And I think if we just share knowledge, I love going to other companies. I love taking classes. And I'm the same way as you. I love bringing it on. And if we can all share it, it's going to be a great world. Let's, lay it down, have fun. We're going to travel around, have fun, and we're all going to learn something. It's just rope rescue, right? Like, be serious. It's ropes. Our wives know that we play, or our husbands know that we play with, just ropes. It's silly. Let's be nice to each other.
Yeah, and I called my girlfriend today. I went to go look at a job on top of a tank that's 240 feet tall, and I was excited because we're going to be able to do something that we've never done before. I'll talk about that later. But I called her, and she was like, "Why are you so happy?" I'm like, "Nothing. I'm calling to wish you a happy birthday." And she's like, "You climbed something, didn't you?" So, she knows me well. Matt McFadden, has the Petzl Spin L1D shown signs of wearing rope through adding friction into a lower? And is the way that it provides resistance to a lower? I guess, Brian or Keith, you guys want to answer that one?
Sure, I can answer that one. Not that I've seen. And if you think about it, every descender and descending or lowering device in the world uses friction on the sheath of the rope to slow your descent. And that's what the Spin L1D does too. So I think it's a different form factor than people are used to seeing for friction being put on a rope, but not that I've seen.
And not to get off subject, we'll come back to that in a second, but Housey, Housey, I hope I didn't chop your name up, from Salisbury, North Carolina. Congratulations. You are the winner of the Petzl Maestro. You will get the choice between the gold, small or the red large. One, in case you didn't know, one is for 11 millimeter type rope and the other one is for 1/2 inch type rope. You'll get an email from us with your choice of size of Maestro. And everyone who's watching, for those that got a swag kit, you will get an email from us requesting your t-shirt size so we can make sure we get you the right size one. Real quick on the L1D before we start to wrap up. Keith, what are you finding the L1D combined with the Maestro? This is similar to the video that we did, that we were honored to do for you guys for the April 19th launch. Are you finding out that the more that you incorporate the L1D, which is the directional spin pulley, with the Maestro, provides a level of control that the rescue industry has never seen before?
Oh man, that sounds like you're setting me up for a home run. Yeah, I'd say, yeah, I mean, where you have that ability to put that 90-degree redirect out in front of your lowering device, for those of you who haven't used it, it adds a crazy amount of friction into the system. And we have the luxury here at Petzl of having a drop tower with 620-pound weight in it. And we can have folks actually feel what it is like to lower that NFPA two-person load, 600 pounds. And no matter what device you're using, it's kind of a scary amount of force to have on your anchor and to be operating with a device. And when you can have something in between the load and the device that you're operating that takes off some of that force, it just makes it a lot easier and more comfortable to operate.
Yes, it does. And I don't want to say I set you up for that, Keith. I kind of did, but I remember when we did the video here, Ed Davies, our new rescue training services manager, our rescue services training manager, we put an individual on the 4-to-1, we lowered him down, and the look he gave me with the friction and the way that Petzl describes using the Maestro with the string on the handle as a remote control, I had never seen such control with the heavy load, and it really was awesome, so to speak. So Matt, I hope that answers your question. I would definitely say if you don't want to buy one, contact your local distributor, get your hands on one to try. I think you'll be pleased with the new technology. And by the way, Petzl doesn't just come up with this idea, manufacture it and roll it out. I mean, it goes through a significant amount of extensive testing, and there's lots of years of experience behind that. So, you definitely do want to give it a chance. And while my producer hands me a Spin 1 LD, we have one right here, and you can see this as he's dropping stuff.
Throw that wherever.
Yeah, that's what he did. It is prusik binding. And if you haven't been on the website, I would suggest you do. You can actually see friction points inside. That's what I call it. And it is directional. It really is a great piece of equipment to add to any cache of gear. So, yeah, go buy a lot of them. All right, as we start to wrap up, folks, you're watching, you have any more questions, go ahead and chime in as I go to a little round table. Micah, why don't we let's finish up with you real quick. Do you have anything else you want to add before we wrap up the anniversary?
No, thanks, Chris. You're doing a great job, man. I appreciate what you've done for the community. They've been great talks, so thanks for having us on, and I watch them and learn something from everybody when I watch them from the different groups you bring on, so thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Keith?
Thanks for having me. That's all I've got to say.
That's it. Okay.
I do have one piece of technical information if people want, since I assume it's all the rope nerds on here. The Spin L2, we talked about it, and I loved Micah saying that all the information the user needs is usually in the tech notice. I'm going to share my screen real quick, if I can, if I'm allowed to. Let's share the screen and come up to here. Spin L2, a lot of people ask, it's in the tech notice. You are allowed to load it just on a single shiv if you want. So if folks can see right here that it's got an 8 kilonewton working load limit. If you have both shivs loaded, drops down to 6 kilonewtons or 3 kilonewtons per strand working load limit if you're just loading a single shiv. So that's a cool thing that we put in our tech notice that a lot of people ask and wonder about pretty much all double shiv pulleys. So right there if you want to know. like Micah said, go to the website and download the tech notice. There's a lot of good information there.
Okay, awesome. Chris Everett is asking the question, and I was waiting for this one to come up. Is there any news? I'm assuming he's using the terminology, the high efficiency ID. I'm looking at that smile, Keith and Brian. Is there any information you want to share with the world? I'll take that as a no.
I will say, Chris is not the first person that I've heard say that.
Okay. Good answer. Chris, I guess you'll just have to keep your ear to the ground and watch Rescue Connection. Who knows? I don't have any intel I share with you, but that smile says enough for me right now that, potentially in the future you'll see such a device. And Jason, you got any closing remarks before we wrap up?
Boy, a high efficiency ID would be a beautiful thing. I would love to see that in my equipment trailer. Just to kind of elaborate on what Micah had said a little bit there about, let's all go play with rope, share information, and have fun. I don't think any of us are out there, doing proprietary techniques. If we do come up with some cool new technique, it's on us to share that with the world. I mean, if we come up with a cooler, easier, safer, simpler way to do something, let's talk about that. Let's, cheers to that one and pass that along and go have fun with it. I love being on rope. I love trying new things. And, this is as fun as you want to make it, and it's as serious as you want to make it. And if you can have serious fun while doing it, all the better.
Yes. Well said, Jason. Well said. Brian, you have any closing remarks before we finish up and say happy anniversary to you and your wife, who is letting you join us tonight? Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. Yep. No, I just kind of what I said earlier about loving knowledge. Actually, Chris, I was going to say I appreciate the comments that you made about folks using old methods. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, I think a lot of times you find that if you show up to a job and you don't have that fancy brand new piece of gear that you wanted to use, you got to go back to the old methods too. So there's definitely something to be said for knowledge, expanding your horizons, and knowing a lot of different ways to do the same thing. It's always a pleasure talking to you and working with MedTechs. Really happy to see. It looks like COVID's in the rearview mirror, so I'd like to get up there and visit you guys in person.
Yes, that would be awesome. And John is asking, can we expect to post the links, tech notes on Facebook and YouTube descriptions? We will post information on our Rescue U Facebook page and share this stuff. The video will be available for rebroadcast on our YouTube channel, MTS Rescue U. But we will get a whole bunch of information that we can post out there that we talked about tonight on our Facebook page. Like and follow us on Facebook. The same thing for Petzl, Working the Rescue, and Peak Rescue. And by the way, in case you're wondering, what do two firefighters and rope access instructors do in Philly when they come here from Casper, Wyoming? Well, they stop at the Rocky statue, of course.
Tell those guys to behave themselves.
And then, of course, they have to go up and run the stairs. They do touristy stuff. And right now they're having Philly cheesesteaks in Center City. So, it's a great class, great instructors, and everybody who's joining us, or if you're watching the rebroadcast, the contact information for all of us has been at the bottom of the screen. We have some cool stuff we're going to give away. We're going to reach out to you folks to get T-shirt sizes. And I can't thank you guys, Brian, Micah, Jason, and Keith. I have to thank Petzl as a corporation for letting us do this. This is the second time they're doing this. Guys, I can't thank you enough for joining us for tonight and being a part of this. And, and looking forward to future sessions.
Thanks for having us, Chris, and congratulations to all the winners.
Yes, congratulations. And we may not be doing a Rescue Connection session in June. I'm going to be away for 6 weeks or probably 5 weeks for military duty. We may have a guest speaker, but if we don't, we will pick back up in July. with some for season 2. And if there's certain things you guys want to see that are viewing these programs, any subjects you want to see us tackle, let us know, and we'd be happy to touch it. So everybody, thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for being on here. I want everyone to keep rescuing your life, stay safe, and stay healthy.
Cheers.
Thanks, Chris.
Stay safe, train on.